Hey everybody, welcome back to Kelly's Creations. I'm going to do one of my favorite Christmas videos, which is using vintage pictures to make vintage decor. I absolutely love the old pictures of Santa and I just love the vintage look. So I went on Google Images and I printed out 3 pictures. I love this picture of Santa reading. I actually printed him out on yellow construction paper to give it that yellow hue. And then I went into my scrapbook collection and just went through some of my going tongue-tied, some of my vintage books and my vintage scrapbook paper, and really just kind of flipped through to get ideas for this video. I love adding new and vintage into my Christmas decor, so I hope this video will be super fun for you and give you inspiration to maybe add a little vintage into your decor as well. So I'm going to start off with some rustic country. That's one of my favorite decor is rustic country. I had this cutting board I had gotten from a thrift store and I used it in a previous project a couple years ago. So it was painted. Now you can find cutting boards like crazy at thrift stores. I see them all the time. I'm sanding down a little bit of the painted areas on this. You won't have to do that because yours won't be painted. So I fell in love with this old picture of Santa and a reindeer, and I thought it would go perfect on this cutting board. So I printed it out on regular printer paper, cut it down, and it fit perfectly over the painted area of my cutting board. I used Mod Podge to attach the picture, and I love rustic country. So I have a couple rustic country vintage decor pieces in this video. I hope you guys love rustic country as well. I have other DIYs in here as well. So if rustic country isn't your thing, maybe this will just give you some inspiration. So once I put Mod Podge down, I used my heat gun, heated it up just a little bit, and now I'm just kind of smoothing it out, trying to get as many of the wrinkles by using a baby wipe as I can. If there's a few wrinkles, it's not bothering me. I also use my little roller and try to smooth out all of the areas, really get this down. My Dollar Tree, hopefully all Dollar Trees, have these wood sticks, and they are so authentic looking with the knots and the different shaped sticks. So I tried to pick out the ones that had the most character. As you can see, like the knots coming out of that one, I do flip out the one on the left for a more character stick. And then I use the fat ones at the top, and I use the skinnier ones for the sides, cutting down 2 of them so that they would fit. I'm just framing this picture with those wooden sticks. I'm going to use wood glue and glue these sticks down. Then I'm going to come in with a paintbrush to remove any of the excess wood glue that's coming through on the sides. I grabbed my stamps and I'm going to put Deer Crossing on this with deer at the top. And for crossing, I'm going to do XINC or ING. And then I accidentally smeared one of the E's on this. And instead of sanding and starting over, I decided to take a baby wipe and kind of dab over the ink before it was dry so that both deer and crossing was just a little bit smeared just to make it look old. And that's it. I absolutely love this piece. I love this picture. If you love layering your decor, I think this is the perfect little backdrop for that layered effect. For DIY number 2, I'm going to stick with that rustic country theme, and I got these wood rounds off Amazon. I printed off this old Santa photo off Google Images. I love this picture. Doesn't vintage just brings you back to a simpler time when you were younger, and I don't know, I just think it really brings back memories. That's why I love to incorporate vintage into my decor. At first I was going to leave the black backdrop on, but I decided to cut him down so that just his face and hat were on this. Then I Mod Podged him down to the wood round, and I took my distress ink and went around the edges. Then I came in with a baby white, dabbed it in the ink, and kind of just made this wood darker. So I just kind of rubbed around Santa's face and really darkened up the wood. Then I came in with my plaster by Waverly and kind of dabbed around the picture. That way you're not really seeing the edges. Plus it really highlights it and it really makes Santa's face pop. All that's left is adding some twine for a handle, and I add a little twine bow to cover up the hole in the wood round. I also took a black marker, just a skinny marker, and I wrote ho 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 next to it. I wish I would have wrote it just a little bigger, but it's still super cute. This is such an easy rustic country ornament, and I absolutely love how this turned out. This next one is so much fun because I've really never printed out an image on construction paper before, but I really wanted some different color than the classic red and green or even blue. So I wanted this mustard color. So I mixed two different colors, sunset and yellow, together to get this kind of rich mustard color that matched the construction paper. I took a round canvas and I painted the whole canvas, the sides, the front, everything, just in case the yellow would show. I wasn't sure if it would show through the picture. I know the picture's tinted yellow, but I wanted it all to be cohesive. So I put my printed picture on top and kind of used my finger to go around the edges. And that is my guide to where to cut the edges. Once I had it cut down, I used Mod Podge and I attached the picture to the canvas. I'm absolutely obsessed with this yellow. I don't have any Christmas decor in this color, and I just am obsessed. I want to make a couple more pieces using this mustard color. I used Mod Podge, tried to get as many wrinkles out, and there wasn't that many, as I could, and used my roller, just kept smoothing it out till all the wrinkles were gone. I went in my stash and I grabbed my round half rounds, and I used, these came from Amazon. They have 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. I went through and I grabbed all the large ones. I first set them all around my canvas so I knew exactly how many I needed. I was pleasantly surprised when I got to the end and they all fit perfectly. That's always a bonus, isn't it? So now I forgot, I'm getting ahead of myself. I had a finial in there too, so I'm going to use that as well. Now, with the existing mustard paint I had, I came around, I dabbed it just like I did on the ornament, and it kind of smoothed out the line of the printer paper against the canvas. This is a great technique to hide the edges. So I just keep dabbing and dabbing and dabbing, and then I come in and I paint all of my half rounds in the mustard, and I paint the finial in the mustard as well. When those dry, I took my little stipple brush, dipped it in plaster, and went over each one, just stippling plaster on everything. I didn't want too much of the mustard, it would just be one-dimensional, so adding some white really defines those wood rounds from the picture, and you really didn't need a lot. I was just dabbing on top, and it was the perfect effect. Doesn't this picture just warm your heart? Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this picture. So I used hot glue, and I dabbed hot glue and put one of the half rounds down, and I worked where I could make sure that they were not hanging off the edge. I wanted it all to be smooth with the edge. Once I got to the top, it all worked. I was happy. I went in my stash and I grabbed some ribbon, and I'm just going to make a fluffy hanging bow. For this lace ribbon, I do cut a piece off and I do paint it in the mustard color. Then I just take my ribbon and cut it all in different strips and kind of bunch it together at the top. I'm going to hot glue the finial to the top of this picture. I'm going to hot glue my little bow, or whatever you would call this. I don't know, it is a bow, but it's not your typical bow. And I'm going to glue that to the side and behind the finial so that it drapes down off of the edge, but not covering any of that beautiful picture. I do add a couple dabs of hot glue to my bow and kind of glue down different sections of it so that it will hang exactly where I want it. I didn't want this gorgeous picture being covered up by the bow, so I kind of maneuver my bow to hang exactly where I want it. And here's the finished picture. I love this. I love that color, so different and unique, and not something that you normally see with that mustard color, but I think it really worked. For my next DIY, I'm going to use this gorgeous little picture of Santa out of my vintage scrapbook. This book is available in my Amazon store if you would like to check it out. I think this picture is so cute. I took one of the Easter decor signs from Dollar General, and I am going to be painting this in Waverly and Plaster 2 coats. I love this sign because I love the ridges on this, and I thought that would be super cute to put his face on here and highlight those little ridges. So I'm going to use my fingers again. I'm going to go all around the edges so I know exactly where to trim. And then I'm going to use Mod Podge and I'm going to attach this picture to the sign. As I'm attaching it to the sign, I'm going to use one of my skinny paint brushes and kind of push in the picture and highlight those ridges so that it looks like it's just one cohesive piece and that it was made this way. I add Mod Podge and then I heat it up a little bit and I match where I had the ridges to the ridges of the sign as I'm putting the picture on it. As I'm putting it on, I made sure that where I initially did the ridges that it lines up. Now I'm going to come in with that paintbrush and gently go over it. Some of it did tear, but that's okay. This is supposed to be meant to look old. I was trying to be as careful as I could to get the picture in there so it would glue down in those ridges. So then I just took some sandpaper when I was done getting all the wrinkles out. I sanded down the edges and I removed all of the excess paper. This sign is so cute. Oh my gosh, how can you not love that face? Adorable. Do you guys like vintage decor? How are you enjoying the video so far? This is my interpretation of vintage decor, and I always try to bring you DIY projects that not everybody is doing. I try to think outside the box and really put some imagination into my projects so that they're not the same as everybody else's. That's the fun of DIYing, using your imagination and making it your own and not having everything that everybody else has. So let me know so far which one's your favorite. I always ask you guys. You guys have been a blessing. You're helping my channel so much. I appreciate you so much by subscribing, by leaving those comments, by sharing the video with your friends. I can't thank you enough. So now I had some Believe ribbon and I just thought this was so adorable. That little gap at the top where the picture didn't quite fit totally, I put the Believe ribbon, focusing on keeping Believe in the middle, cut it down. I'm also going to use that ribbon to make a hanger for the sign. Oh my gosh, I love this picture. I absolutely love that face. How can you not? It's so cute. I twisted my ribbon to make the hanger. I hot glued it to the back, and then I took just a little piece of that ribbon and I put Believe on the back going the other way to secure it down since I was using hot glue. So what do you think of this sign? Don't forget, I want to know what your favorite is so far. We have one more DIY. DIY number 5 is using the scrapbook paper of vintage stamps. This paper is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it has so many different stamps. I'm also using the scrapbook paper, but I'm only using 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Now, this is a door off of a jewelry box. When I did Christmas in July, I turned a jewelry box into a miniature diorama for Christmas, and it had two doors on it. So this is the other door. And I'm sanding down where the handle's going to go just because it was raised a little bit. I'm going to take Waverly and plaster, and I'm going to actually paint this with 3 coats. I'm not going to be distressing it. I probably wouldn't have done 3 if I was going to distress it. The reason I didn't distress, you guys know I love distressing. So here was my thought process on that, is not a lot of vintage decor is distressed. That came later. So I wanted this to just be nice and white. I'm using the door to size how much I'm going to cut of that scrapbook paper. I'm actually going to glue it to the back of this, you'll see when I flip the door over, there's like an indent. I could have gone smaller, but I wanted this to cover the whole back of the door. So I used the door, I cut my scrapbook paper down to size, and I am going to use hot glue to attach this to the back of that door. I absolutely love how all those colors of the stamps pop against that white. It is so pretty, so different, and I just love the color scheme of that scrapbook paper. So now I'm going to cut out just the section on this next scrapbook paper that says 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And I am going to just use school glue stick to attach that to the center of this. Since the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas is pretty much a neutral beige and black, I thought it would really pop against the colorful backdrop of those stamps. All of those stamps are all vintage zines, and I just thought that was adorable. I'm pretty sure I got that scrapbook piece of paper from Hobby Lobby. I bought it a couple of years ago, so I'm not quite sure, but it kind of looks like Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper. So once I had that glued down, now I can attach the handle back to the door. The handle I didn't do anything to because I kind of thought it looked vintage on its own. All I did was add the screws back in and attach it to the side. Then it's time to start working on the wreath that's going to hang above my door. So now I went into my stash, I grabbed some greenery that kind of had a flocked look to it, and it already has berries on it. I pulled apart 2 sprigs. I'm going to attach those 2 together using white and red colored string from Dollar Tree. I just kind of position them together, and then I'm going to tie them. I grabbed some red and black buffalo check. I cut the edges off where this is wired ribbon, so I cut the edges off so that it would be a little frayed. Made a bow, used my string to attach these together, and then I hot glued the greenery to the top of the door. I hot glued that buffalo check bow to the greenery, and then I make just a simple little bow out of the red and white kind of candy cane ribbon or tie, and I put that on the front of that to finish this look. So this has been my interpretation of vintage decor. 5 inspirational ideas that I hope you really enjoyed. I love the door. I think the door in the mustard Santa is my favorite, and I had a lot of fun doing this. Thank you so much for your love and support. Any items I used from Amazon will be linked in my Amazon store. That link is in the description box below. You can check that out. And as always, thank you for joining me. I love you. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, and always leave me a comment below. I hope you all are having a blessed and wonderful week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, y'all.